software testing principles. Most of the cases, these principles will not be used anywhere. So they will be used only while answering in the interviews. So just get to know the definitions. That's enough. Software testing. First one is testing. It shows. I'm losing my mind. Testing shows that. And the second one is exhaustive testing. So these are some of the software testing principles. So first one is testing shows presence of the defects. So why we are doing testing in this, it will show the presence of defects. So if some kind of defects are there, it will display the defects. There's the application of some kind of defects, but testing will not show them. Complete defect-free applications. Testing will not show the complete defect-free applications. It can show the defects, but it will not. We can't ensure that the 100% defect-free applications anywhere, anytime. Okay, so 100% application. But we can reduce the risk of having defects. Exhaustive testing is impossible, which I said earlier. No? So exhaustive testing means trying out with all the possible scenarios. So at some kind of functionalities, it may be possible, but it can't be possible for every time. And 70% of the things, exhaustive testing is not possible because it needs a huge time, huge budget, and huge resources. So exhaustive testing is impossible most of the cases. Early testing. So early testing in the sense, whenever the developer starts coding, so we plans about the testing activities at that manner. So at that stage, so that kind of testing will reduce the bugs that will be going to have in the releases builds. So whenever the developer is developing something, and we need to test that at the early stage where we can test. So at the starting stage, if there any possibility of testing that kind of APIs or that things, so we have to start that testing as soon as possible so that we can reduce the risk of having a huge number of defects in the future. So that's why we should prefer early testing. Defect clustering. So defect clustering means, if for example there was a small module as well as a huge module. So but here in this huge model will not getting any defects, but the small model is getting a lot of defects. So to testing that small model with all the possible cases and revolving around that small functionality to take out all the defects, that we will call as a defect clustering. Here huge model will not have that many of issues, but the small model will have that many of issues because that small module will be covered up with a very complex code from the backend. So It may have 30 to 40 of the issues from just a single small model. Whereas a large model can have 10 to 20. So it depends. But whenever there is a situation, if a small model is having a lot of issues and keep on coming on fixing some of the issues, and you're testing, retesting, and testing that, that will call as a defect clustering. That kind of situation we call as a defect clustering. Pesticide paradox. So whenever we are executing the test cases, on some point, there will be no issues. Like we executed 20 of the test cases, there are completely total 20 of the test cases. We got 3 to 4 issues. We raised that issues, developer fixed that, we retested again, and there was no other issues. So at that point, we have to try to add some more scenarios. So as we are already gone through that functionality 2 to 3 times by retesting it, retesting it. So here they are suggesting to just go to some other possible scenarios if you have any. So likewise, this will be called as a paradox. Like retesting it, every bug is fixed, and once the bug is fixed, we are trying to think about the new kind of possibilities, new kind of ways that the user can access that functionality. So thinking that, and we are writing that new things in the test case, and we are testing it, and we are raising the bugs. This circle we call it as a paradox. This is a pesticide paradox. Options of context dependent testing is a context dependent. So why we call it context depending is, so the total testing results should be depend upon the requirement documents. So the context, whereas in the requirement documents is the result of testing. So we will compare that document, whatever the content given by the business analysts, those people. So that total part we will test in the application. So that why testing is called as a totally context dependent. Options of error fallacy. So if the application does not fills the user expectations, so that user expectation means whatever the client or whatever the user is. So if the scope of the application is some kind of social networking site, so if the user is not feeling it as a social networking site, it was not related to some kind of social networking site as per its domain, there was no point of fixing the defects, finding the defects. So that situation we call as an options of error fallacy. So that kind of situation we call as an options of error fallacy, because the application is never met the user acceptance, it was never up to the user expectations. So if it's a social networking platform, it should be some kind of expectations to the user, that it has some kind of shareable things, it has some kind of community things. So if that user expectations is not met, there is no purpose of fixing the defects and improving the software. So that situation we call is an options of error fallacy. So these are all some of the testing principles. So most of the things we will not use anywhere. These are just for the interview purpose. They will ask you know any testing principles or not. We will just give a brief about this 7. Not exactly 7. You just go for the 5 or 6, whatever you remember. So that's enough. And this is the software testing principle thing. Now we go with STLC. Software testing lifecycle. So previously we discussed about software development lifecycle, SDLC. This is the software development lifecycle. So SDLC means it was completely what the development process, application development, which happens there. So testing is a part of software development. So testing is also a part of software development. So whereas in the STLC, it's a software testing lifecycle. So only the testing is included here, not the development part. Okay, but in the development part, testing is also included, because total this part we call as an application development. So this is a software development, which the testing is also included in that. So now we will discuss about the software testing lifecycle. In the software testing lifecycle, also we have phases. test planning. So these are all the testing phases. So first of all, there will be a test plan. So test planning means in this test planning case, so based upon the requirement documents, whatever we got from that, like BRF documents or SRS documents, here the project managers will design test strategy as well as a test plan. Test strategy in the sense, so from overall the project, what needs to be done, and test plans in the sense they will divide that strategy into the module wise, and which module has to be done on priority and which module should be taken care of, what the development people are doing. Depending upon them, we will choose the priorities and we will plan for the testing part. So test analyzing. In this test analyzing, we will go through the requirement documents and the software specification documents what we got from the business analyst. So from that application, from that documents, we will understand every requirement. We will understand every requirement and every software navigation. If we have any doubts, we will go to the business analyst and will clarify the doubts. So in this phase, we will get to know all the complete requirements whichever given to us. And in the test design, we will create the test cases and test scenarios. So in the future classes, we will write the test cases. At that part, you will get to know what is test scenarios and what is test cases. So in this test design part, we will write the test scenarios as well as the test cases. Scenarios in the sense, it's depends upon the unique condition of that functionality. Test cases in the sense, all the possible navigation that can be done in the functionality. So like, for example, it's login with the valid thing, login with an invalid credentials, login with invalid credentials. These are all the cases. And the scenario is login to the application. So in that scenario, there will be a lot of cases. Like test scenario is a set of test cases. We call it as a test scenario. Okay. And test environment. Test environment in the sense, we will create here whatever the software is required. For example, we are going to test where automation people are going to do automation. They will install all the hardware parts, whatever they needed. And if the manual testing is going manual testing, if any software needs it, like Postman tool for API testing or any other tools that needed for the testing, everything the setup will be done here in the test environment. Until this test now, at this point, the development process will be done parallelly. So here text execution. Now the development is completed and we got the build. Here, whatever the test cases we written in the test design, using that test cases, will execute all the cases by in the application. And we will log the defects. If any defects are there, we will log them and we will report the defects. And we will follow up them and we will get to close with the defect by the developer. And once everything is done, once everything is looking fine as per the testing perspective, all cases are pass and there is no failure cases and no bugs, then we will provide a sign off for that module or sign off for that application. That we will call as a test closure. That we will call as a test closure. So the STLC and the SDLC models both will go in a parallel manner. Like as you know, there will be a whatever that happens in the software development life cycle, like client interactions, software bidding, those all part will be done as usual, apart from the development and testing too. Like project bidding. So here the client came to some kind of industry and they gave to them. And next here it will be the kickoff meeting. And next the project plan. And next the requirement gathering. So once the requirement gather is done, here the testing team people will and development people will divide them. So here the actual process comes on where the testing and the development people is. So here in this requirement gathering, there will be a BRS and SRS documents. So here the development people will do development plan and the testing people will do testing plan depending upon that documents. So here after this one, they will go for the design and next they will go for the coding and next they will go for the testing part like white box testing and integration and white box system. So integration and text white box system. Parallelly, along with the development people, so the testing people also do test plan as well as here they will go for the test gathering the requirements. Gathering and they will go for the test design. They will go for the test cases and writing test cases as well as the test scenarios, and they will set up the test environments. And next they will go for the test execution. And after the test execution, so if any defects are there, they will raise the defects. So likewise, development team at development SDLC and STLC will be in a same project, but at some point they will divide. They will go for the development process and this will be go for the testing process. Of the test execution, the reporting and the tracking will happen. So it will be in the both. So the reporting we should do and the fixing they should do. So it will be in the both. So after test execution, there will be a test reporting and all, and next acceptance testing, and next we will close the project once everything is done. So likewise, these both will happen parallel. Okay, so any doubts up to here?
No.
No.
No doubts, right?
No doubts.
Fine. And next thing is bug life cycle. So bug life cycle is means, so here there will be a cycle again. Bug tracking and the reporting. So defect tracking and the reporting. So here will be a defect tracking as well as a defect reporting. Here a cycle goes. So what that cycle is, first of all, tester will find the defect. That bug, whatever tester find, he will assign that bug to the developer. Developer will seize the bug and he will fix the bug. Once he fixes the bug, he will again assign it to the tester who reported that bug. So the tester will retest that bug, is it fixed or not by the developer. So if it is fixed, then he will close the bug. If it is not fixed, then he will
then he will reopen the bug. So then he will reopen the bug. So that entire process we will call as a bug life cycle, or else you can call it as a defect life cycle. Defect or bug life cycle. Okay. So when it comes to defect life cycle, so it will also have the same flow. So first of all, when I am testing the application, I found a bug. So that bug is a new bug. So there will be a status as new. So we will call that as a new bug. So that new bug will be assigned to someone. Whoever implemented that functionality, we will assign that new bug to some other developer. We'll assign that bug to developer. So what that developer will do after we assign him, so he will check the bug, and if he was going to fix, he will update that status to in progress. So in progress means he was checking the bug, he was trying to fix the bug. So once the bug is fixed, he will update that status to fix it. So once it fixes it, he will reassign it to the tester who reported it. So the tester will check all the fixed bugs, and if the bug is fixed, he will close that bug. So he will close that bug. So whereas, for example, if the bug is not fixed here, what he does is he will reopen it. Reopen in the sense, if the bug is not fixed, he will not close the bug. So instead of closing the bug, he will again assign it to the developer. So he will reopen the bug and he will assign it to the developer. So the developer will see the bug again and he will do the in progress, and if he will fix the bug. Once he fixes it, the tester will again check. So if it is fixed, then the tester will move to close. If it is not, then again he will reassign it to the same developer who is going to fix. So that we call it as an reopen part. That we call it as an reopen part. It was reopening the bug. So for example, so once the tester is assigned that bug to the developer seen that bug and he thought that instead of fixing that bug, he wants to reject that bug. So the developer can directly reject the bug. So it will be a rejected status. Rejected. So if the developer is rejected that bug, it will be a directly closed. So it will directly get to close. So we assign it to the developer. Developer thought that it's not a bug and he rejected that bug. Then automatically it should be closed. Okay, and there will be a new status as deferred. Deferred. Deferred means it is a bug. The developer will accept that it is a bug, but there is no use of fixing that bug in this build. So developer will say that I will fix that bug in the future. So once you assign that bug to the developer, so what he will do, he will update that status to deferred. So deferred means it's as in the hold situation. So it is not a priority, it can be released in the future updates. So that it will be considered as a deferred bug. So these are all the statuses of the bug life cycle. So if anyone asks you in the interview, you have to explain all the steps as well as what that steps mean. So like new means it's a new bug. Assign means the bug is assigned to some other developer. In progress means bug is accepted by the developer and he has started working on fixing that bug. Fix means developer fixed that bug. Close means tester has closed the bug because the bug is fixed. Reopen means tester has reopened the bug and assigned it to the same developer as the bug is not fixed yet. Okay, and rejected means developer is rejected that bug because it is not a valid one, or else that is the requirement, that is not a bug actually. So he can reject at that time. And deferred means developer know that this is a bug and
he also know that there is no need of fixing that bug in the current build, as he don't have time, or else as per the requirement there is no need of fixing that in the same build, same release. He can plan that fix in the next release, so that he will put this as a deferred, so bug is on the hold. Okay, so this is a bug life cycle. Fine, you understood?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes, yes.
So new or open. So once it's open, it will be assigned to someone. Assigned. And next, in progress. And next. Next. Rejected. Before. First. So these are all the few terms. So depending upon the project, the terms may change. So some people will create as a new, some people will create as an open bug, some people will create as an to do bug. To do means it has to be taken by someone. So likewise, the terms may change depending upon the project. So but this is the whole process of that. So some people will say rejected as not a bug. I also mention that not a bug. So these are all the status of that bug. This the status of that bug, how the bug is currently, the situation of the bug currently. So this whole process we call it as a bug life cycle or a defect life cycle. So you understood this?
Yes.
Yes.
So you have any questions in today's session, or else from the day one, whatever it is? I was thinking everyone is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yesterday's session is not recorded, but today's brief, which I explained now, so that will be recorded today. That is recorded today, and I will upload and share you that through your mails. Okay, so and if you,
Okay.
while you are going through that, if you got any doubts or anything, you can directly ping me in the WhatsApp. I will update you that whatever the answer is in that, or else you can directly ask me in the next session. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay then. Thank you all, and new people stay in the call who are joined today, and the rest all can leave. Hi Aditya. So can you speak now? You're able to unmute and speak. So if not, just ping me no or yes in the chat.